Hello and welcome to our second episode of AUCTV. I'm your host Merna Abu Aita. And in today's episode, we will have stories on how Cairo is coping with COVID-19, as well as the latest updates from AUC campus. Coming up in the show, we have a special guest, the University Councillor and the former Minister of Health and Population in Egypt, Dr. Ashraf Haitem. Stay tuned for this exclusive interview, as we discuss the university policies in regards to the ongoing pandemic. But for now, we have our first correspondent to bring you the latest. An Egyptian engineer has invented a robot that takes blood samples and conducts PCR tests on coronavirus patients. More on this in the upcoming report with Minna Farouk.
In his house in Tanta City, an Egyptian engineer has made use of the coronavirus lockdown since March to create a robot that can help coronavirus patients and reduce their contact with medical teams.
درجة حرارتك طبيعية. قم بارتداء الكمامة.
ده روبوت كيرا. ده هو مصمم من بداية أزمة كورونا في العالم أو سبيسيفيك في مصر. هو يبدأ إن يبقى يعمل ديستانسنج ما بين الأطباء أو الطاقم الطبي والمرضى. طبعا ده هيوفر حاجات كتير قوي، غير إن هو بيوفر روح الإنسان، إن هو بيوفر المهمات الوقائية اللي كان بيلبسها الطاقم الطبي.
The robot not only protects medical crews at hospitals, but also takes PCR tests both from the nose and the throat.
هو أولاً ده روبوت بيتحرك فيه ذكاء اصطناعي، روبوت متكلم، يقدر إن هو أولاً إن هو يقيس الوظائف الحيوية، ياخد مساحات PCR، يعني يقدر غير إن هو يقدر يشتغل في المستشفيات، يقدر إن هو يشتغل في أماكن التجمعات من خلال إن هو بيقدر من خلال الذكاء الاصطناعي إن هو يقدر يعد الناس الموجودين، يقدر ان هو يقيس درجة حرارتهم اذا كان في حد درجة حرارته عالية. كمان في وظيفة الجيت جارد اللي هو بيقف على البوابات، اللي هو يعمل فلتريشن للناس اللي داخلة المبنى، ويشوف يتعرف على الكمامات اذا كان اوكي لابس ماسك او لا.
درجة حرارتك غير طبيعية. توجه إلى أقرب مركز تحليل.
El-Komi can control the robot from any place both in Egypt and abroad. He's also now developing its functions to include early disease detection.
الفيجن بتاعت كيرا ان هو يقدر يشخص الامراض، كل الامراض تقريبا، من خلال ان انا باخد داتا من الجانب الطبي وبعمل لها تريننج الروبوت. يقدر الروبوت يميز الداتا اللي داخله دي سواء اصوات او سواء صور او سواء اشعاعات. ده يساعد كتير قوي في التشخيص المبكر.
The 27-year-old engineer hopes that Egypt will be part of a global trend to rely on artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to carry out various tasks and solve problems.
بالتأكيد زي ما كان في كل بيت كمبيوتر، دلوقتي هيبقى في كل بيت روبوت، مش في كل بيت بس، في كل المنشآت، كل البنوك، كل المطارات، كل حتة دلوقتي هتبقى فيها روبوتس. بعد كده الروبوتات دلوقتي بدأت تتعلم من البشر.
The pharaohs dazzled the world with their construction of the pyramids. It also seems that their young grandchildren are working hard to maintain their legacy, but with the emerging trends of technology. This is Minna Farouk from AUCTV.
حرارتك طبيعية. قم بارتداء الكمامة.
Nagih Alem is one of the two AUC professors who received the Egyptian State Award in creating smart energy from sunlight. Sarah Sadiq will tell us more in the upcoming report about his innovation and how he managed to work during the pandemic.
So why this research line? Actually, I came back in 2011, and during this time, I was trying hard to charge my cell phone. And you can imagine, I'm sure you can still remember that we had a problem in electricity, comes and goes and comes and goes. And then I was thinking about, okay, what about the sun that we have all the year? Can we make use of this enormous amount of energy? That's why I moved into the solar-based research.
Nagah Allam is an assistant professor in physics who recently received the Egyptian State Award in Technological Sciences from the Egyptian Academy of Scientific Research and Technology for his research on ways to create smart energy to produce renewable fuels and electricity from sunlight on a sustainable basis.
Actually, I came back in 2011, and during this time, I was trying hard to charge my cell phone. And you can imagine, I'm sure you can still remember that we had a problem in electricity, comes and goes and comes and goes. And then I was thinking about, okay, what about the sun that we have all the year? Can we make use of this enormous amount of energy? That's why I moved into the solar-based research. When it comes to water research or water desalination specifically, actually I thought about this after the Ethiopian dam and the problem that we're expecting, or it might happen very soon. So I was trying to think about energy less dense and less costly methods to desalinate water in Egypt. That's why we work in water desalination. So the idea behind our research is mainly focused on the design and development of new materials which are earth abundant, cost effective, and more importantly are actually efficient materials for the applications for solar cells to harvest sunlight, and solar fuel, desalination, and energy storage such as batteries and supercapacitors. I can tell you that the works that was awarded this year actually took us like a couple of years to develop and to make sure that this is something that can go actually to the next step. So you might ask actually, is this research really important and can see the light one day? I can tell you yes, actually we are working at the same level of the international standards, and yes, our inventions can be moved to the market. In some parts still need development, but actually, of course, we need someone to adapt the ideas and to provide more funding for this so we can move from the lab scale into semi-industrial scale and hopefully to the industrial scale. AUC provided me with some funding, the lab, some equipment, and of course the moral support, which is really, really important for any researcher to succeed and to achieve something good. You might wonder during COVID-19 and we get the award, actually it's a little bit tough time. So during this time we focused on simulation so we can access the computer labs here at AUC through like online systems. So we focused on doing simulation more than experimental work, and then we made a library of different materials which can be used in our applications to make devices. And I hope that we come back very soon and then we try to fabricate those materials and test their efficacy.
After 6 months of quarantine and online learning, AUC students are partially back on campus with a hybrid mode of online and face-to-face classes. More in the following report by Nuran Noor.
This is the assembly hour before COVID-19 and now. As a response to the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, the American University in Cairo announced a suspension for all face-to-face classes and adopted an online learning system during the past semesters. This fall semester, AUC announced a partial return to campus with a hybrid mode of classes. 93% of the classes would be online and only 7% are face-to-face. Face-to-face classes will be the courses that require a physical appearance in the campus to meet the learning outcomes, including labs, art classes, and experimental courses.
In applied sciences, you cannot really learn anything from online. You need to have the sense of doing things by your own hand. Otherwise, that's not science, it's not teaching. We have to have students on campus, and that's why we divided them, we split them on 2 groups so that we can maintain distancing. At the same time, they can get the experience of how to handle things themselves.
For a whole 6 months of online learning during the spring and summer semesters, the university was totally closed to the students. The online learning was challenging for both professors and students who were trying to adapt to the new educational experience.
Last semester, it was a real challenge. It was to keep the students engaged. We had to modify or change the way we teach. The PowerPoint presentation that we used to have for just running, we speak in class for an hour or an hour and a half, doesn't work for the students who are online. So we have to get them engaged by using different interactive methods, different interactive exercises within the session itself.
It's a new experience, honestly, and every professor is approaching it in a different manner. I'm glad that I'm not postponing my graduation for a year because of COVID-19, that the university can actually cope with the situation. So yeah, it's not bad.
It was shocking, like you have to go now, instead of going to the campus, you have to take your classes on Zoom. What is Zoom? What is Google Class? What is that? So it was like, the transition itself was not as smooth as this semester.
To guarantee the safety of those returning to campus, the university followed a number of precautions, including self-check, mandatory masks wearing around the campus, and social distancing in classes.
I think AUC is doing a great job at it, of making sure that everybody abides by wearing masks, making sure that the buses, everyone is socially distanced, compared to what friends of mine are dealing with back in the US, where universities are closing and going back to online. As difficult as it is and having to get permission for every class and for every student, it's worth it. I like my students to learn, but them getting sick or worse is not worth it. So I think AUC has been making very good decisions about this return.
And they wanted to kind of break out of the
It's a bit sad because the campus is so empty. It feels like something's missing. But obviously, yeah, I've missed it a lot. It's been great seeing people face to face. It's been great interacting with the professor face to face. It's a bit weird sitting far away from everyone else. And the mask is obviously not the best, but it's been great. It's been better than the online. But I feel like semester it's been done a lot more smoothly. Last semester it was a lot harder. I was actually thinking of taking a gap semester because of how hard it was.
I just hope that next semester we can fully return to the campus and see our friends and had this full experience of learning, practical, theoretical, have this communication back and seeing each other. And I really hope that we can come back to the campus because we love it.
Safety is the first priority. No one really knows what the situation would be in the upcoming weeks, especially with some expectations regarding COVID-19 second wave. All we can do is to wait. This is Nuran Noor from AUCTV.
AUC Tahrir Culture Center hosts the screening of 5 of Al-Gona Film Festival's best movies. In the next report, we will see how cultural events come back to life during the pandemic with the safety precautions. More with Rihab Ismail.
Many cultural events are trying to get back to life with several precautions due to coronavirus pandemic. AUC took an initiative to support the cultural scene in Cairo. Al-Gona in Tahrir is in collaboration between AUC's Tahrir Cultural Center and Al-Gona Film Festival, which was challenging to hold it among the precautions of COVID-19.
It's been definitely a lot of effort, and it was a lot of challenges that we had to deal with and overcome over the past few months as we've been planning this event. And this is just a trial. It's an attempt at a gradual approach to reintroduce public events and to re-establish our very important cultural role here in downtown Cairo in the art scene.
This film series features a selection of 5 important films from previous editions of Al-Gona Film Festival and will be screened on different days. The films include the Sudanese film You Will Die at 20, which highlighted the opening event.
الخليفة قال لي بيموت يوم 22 حول.
The movie won the Best Narrative Feature Film Award at Al-Gona Film Festival in 2019. We asked the movie's director about the effect of the pandemic on cinema and the new safety precautions should be taken in all events.
كل الفعاليات الثقافية وبالتحديد بالنسبة لي عشان متحيز للسينما فكل الفعاليات السينمائية أنا بكون سعيد لأنه السينما من المجالات اللي خسرت كتير بتوقف العروض لمدة 6-7 شهور تقريبا. فأنا سعيد جدا بأنه بيحصل فعالية زي فعالية عروض التحرير لأن ده بيرجع فكرة السينما المستقلة بما أنه أصلا السينمات التجارية رجعت.
The series also includes Yom Ad-Din, which was Egypt's official nomination for the Oscar for Best Foreign Film.
فر من المجزومة فرارك من الأسف.
أنت قلت ما بيعديش صح؟
And Parasite, the winner of this year's Academy Award for Best Picture. All precautions were taken to ensure the safety of the guests, including mandatory wearing of face masks, social distancing, and limited capacity in the hall. We asked some of the audience what motivated them to join among these precautions.
I like to explore different cultures and learn about them, and when I knew about this film I was really interested and wanted to learn more about it, so I thought about taking my measures and be safe, and I have my mask and everything, but I still wanted to enjoy my time and to also learn about something new.
المكان بيحافظ على الإجراءات الاحترازية ومكان اللي عمل أكتر من إيفنت قبل كده وأنا حضرت أكتر من إيفنت هنا قبل كده فأنت بتكون مطمن إن أنت جاي وفي النهاية في عرض أنت محتاج اللي أنت تشوفه لأن اتعرضوا أكتر من مرة بس كانت في فترات قبل كده ما كانش موفق لنا إحنا نشوفه فكنت جاي عشان كده.
I was really interested in watching it since the beginning of its show. However, the corona and the COVID, when it's break up, so now it's a chance to watch it. Yeah, I can't miss it.
The event will occur for 4 more separate days during October and November. The organizers will assess the opening event and then decide whether the remaining days will take place on campus. رحاب إسماعيل AUCTV.
Schools in Cairo started the new academic term in classrooms for the first time since March due to the pandemic. Jamil Nanji investigates more in the following report.
It's the new academic term for this primary school, while students are anticipating the challenges of moving up into a new grade. But there is something different this time. For the first time since March, students leave their homes to come to school and attend classes like usual, but with safety precautions. I spoke to one of the students on how the school is maintaining these measures and if they feel safe.
Actually, the school here is very clean. They always clean our desks, our chairs, the doors, everything. So I'm not scared. I'm really not scared to have Corona here. It's safe.
This transition of moving from online sessions back to the classrooms is a brave step. One such teacher saw this as a new challenge back in March, and now she leads the teachers to adapt with change.
Everybody's excited to be back, honestly, starting from teachers and students definitely, but teachers even were very excited. They missed the students from one side and they missed the normal teaching quality time with the students, which we cannot have actually on online. Whatever you do on online, at the end you're missing this contact and physical contact with the students. Honestly, I was very lucky to have this transition with the Corona thing. That was the luckiest thing ever. So that was like an additional challenge, because already transition from a teacher to a lead is a challenge. Adding to it the challenge of the coronavirus, which adds a lot of responsibilities on the lead before anybody else, because if anything wrong happens, you are the first one to be blamed or whatever. So that was not easy, and still is not easy, but I'm trying to have it like a challenge for myself.
It has been almost a month since schools in Cairo have taken the decision to open their doors and have classes as normal. So what happens if there's a new threat?
My hope and my dream for this year at least is to have a normal school year, which we really don't know till now. We're going like week by week and day by day. We really don't know if we're gonna be here in December or January or no. So again, I'm working on two parallel plans. A plan A, which is doing now, and plan B in case anything happens, which might happen in one day, like what happened in March. So I'm working on plan B, that if anything happens in a day, I'm ready to switch to online learning again without without at least not passing through the same mistakes we've gone through in March. So at least I'm learning from what happened in March.
It's a question of safety and the priority for children to receive quality education. Parents, for starters, are most concerned for their children, but the school has gained their confidence.
I have my concerns, yet we've been assured that all safety precautions are being met, and I've witnessed their safety precautions, and so far I'm happy.
The demand for quality education is only going to rise in Egypt and in the MENA region in the coming years. So whether lessons are online or in the classroom, the students are eager to learn. This is Jamil Nanji reporting for AUCTV, Cairo.
Our reporters have also taken the initiative to present some precautionary measures with the ongoing pandemic. Enjoy the following public service announcements made by our team.
Wherever you are or whatever you're doing, wear a mask, protect yourself and your beloved ones.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Don't forget to wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
With the start of new fall semester, AUC ensured that all staff and students have safe experience on campus under the slogan, Keep AUC Community Safe. There are signs all over the campus to remind everyone to wear face masks, maintain social distance, and avoid shaking hands. Follow the signs and keep AUC community safe.
Thank you to all our reporters from the field. Coming up to the next segment, we have our guest, Dr. Ashraf Haitem, who will discuss the university policies in regards to the ongoing pandemic. See you after the break. Welcome back to the show. This is AUCTV and I am your host, Merna Abu Aita. Joining us in the studio, Dr. Ashraf Haitem, the university counselor and the representative of the Egyptian government at AUC. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Merna.
Thank you. Dr. Ashraf, actually we're very curious to know what are the new rules and the new policies that AUC are considering this fall?
Actually, AUC, during the last 6 or 7 months, since last February, there was a lot of committees. They were studying what is happening all over the world in higher education. Also, what are the regulations in Egypt, the regulations in higher education in Egypt? What's the WHO recommendations, the CDC recommendations for returning back to universities and schools? And the thing which AUC is doing is done all over the world. It is a sort of a hybrid type of education. There is a few classes which is face-to-face, and it is these classes which cannot be taught online. some labs, some, for example, theater classes, some education classes, of course. Something like this, like your journalism and TV, it is very difficult to be taught online.
Yes.
They are in AUC. They are calling it a low density campus. A low density campus. It is that it is 7 to 10% of people are there every day. So the 260 acres of campus has only 10 to 20% max of the population. So there is social distancing, and of course there are strict rules when they are coming here. You know that there are the 6 famous questions. You ask yourself, the self-check, which you do in the morning. If it is green, you can come to campus. If it is red, immediately the clinic will contact you. And if there is something which you have flu-like symptoms or something like that, they will do for you what is needed. So these are the steps which are doing. Of course, they are thinking what to be done also for the evaluation, for the assessment, for the tests. And this is a dynamic process because the Provost Council and the senior leadership are every week they are coming together and say, so what will happen next, and they can just come to see that the 7% classes can be 20% if things are going good. It can be 100% face-to-face if the COVID-19 thing was resolved. And they can say no, the things have been escalated, and they can come back to online courses altogether, 100%. So it is a dynamic process.
Yes. So the university is evaluating every now and then, right?
Every 2 weeks there is an evaluation, and then there is a decision every 1 or 2 months of to continue or to increase or to decrease the number of face-to-face classes.
And how's it going so far?
I think things are going good. We actually, this is something which is very good, that from March until today, we only had 2 cases which were hospitalized. We have about so many cases who were diagnosed as COVID-19, but only 2 cases was hospitalized, and thanks God we don't have any mortalities from COVID-19 up till now. Inshallah, there will not be any hospitalization or mortalities.
Inshallah. And the 2 cases went to the classes first?
This was at when there was a lockdown, and they went to hospitals, but they were they recovered and they came back to work. And I think they were staff and not students. There were only 1 student, and alhamdulillah, he was cured.
Thank you. So if you can tell us the situation, the current situation in this university, I mean the AUC, and outside the university with regards to the pandemic?
Actually, as if we were seeing all over the world, maybe everyone is seeing that the number of cases is increasing, especially in Europe and in the States. The number are increasing, and they are speaking about a second wave. In Egypt, the number is still, it's not very low, but it is not high. We have a few cases every day, but thanks God, we have most of the cases, over 95% of the cases are mild cases. They are not even respiratory cases. Nowadays, we have more than 25% of the cases are GIT cases, that they have some sort of abdominal colics, diarrhea, some sort of malaise, some vomiting, and fever, which stays only for 1 or 2 days, and usually there is self-cure for this thing. So 95% of cases like this, and there are very few cases who needs hospitalization, especially in high-risk groups, and also very, very few cases who needs mechanical ventilation or the ICU admission. And thanks God, up till now, in the last 2 months, we have very few cases who needed mechanical ventilation, and the number of mortality from COVID are decreasing, and we are not, they are less than 10 a day all through. So this is the situation in Egypt. And the situation in the world. In AUC, as you know, we have all of us have seen the drive-through outside of the gate, and inside of the gate for the AUC community also the drive-through. So we have the facilities to do the testing, either the PCR testing or the antibody testing. Our clinic is tracking any possible cases, any red face in the if somebody is coming to the clinic, or anybody who has some symptoms or going to any hospital. We have a lot. Our insurance companies have a lot of contracts with hospitals, and alhamdulillah, up to now we don't have any hospitalized case during the last month. Few of the cases are confirmed by PCR or by CT chest of the ground glass opacities, and they just needed home isolation and home treatment, and most they are 100% of them are up to now cured by home isolation and treatment at home.
That's great. So how AUC collaborate with the Egyptian government and the educational institutions just to pass this pandemic? So if you can tell us more.
Actually, the model of the AUC, for example, for this hybrid and online teaching was taken by the Egyptian government through myself to the Supreme Council of Universities, and they adopted something which is the same as what AUC have been done. But the problem is that, of course, they have a very huge number of students, so that they have problems in adapting this to the huge number of students. So instead of doing things online, they may be doing this through TV channels, which they have. For example, if you know that Cairo University, for example, had 250,000 students. So, but up to now they are doing the hybrid also model. This is our model. We are on constant link with the Ministry of Health for any thing which is for the COVID, for the sterilization, for the any rules of isolation, of quarantine for people who are coming from abroad. Also, we are on also in contact with Vaxera, which is the authority for vaccination, to get the flu vaccine. So we are in constant and every day today contact with Ministry of Higher Education, Supreme Council of Universities, and also the Ministry of Health and the representative of WHO in Egypt for our situation here.
But is there anything that can be done to ensure the quality of education will not be affected?
This is the role of the AUC faculty, the Provost Council, but again, the quality is what we have two things: the safety and the quality. So the safety of the students and the faculty and the staff is number one, but the quality of education also is very important, and that's why the Egyptian government and also the AUC have permitted face-to-face classes and seminars and others. And even if things remain the same, they can permit also some events to be done for the quality of education.
We wanted to ask about how the university will respond to a second wave of coronavirus. Hopefully not. But
if there will be a second wave in Egypt, up to now we don't know, and hopefully it will not. But we are expecting, if there will be a second wave, it will be with the influenza season. Our influenza season is starting from the second week of November until the end of January or February. And this influenza season, the problem is if you have a mixed infection, influenza plus corona, and this can, and if the coronavirus is mutated, so this will cause a sort of a severe viral pneumonia, and this is dangerous. Up to now, we don't have a clue it will happen or not, but the COVID-19, which is present in Egypt now, is a very low virulent virus. Inshallah, will not happen. But that's why we urge people to take the flu vaccine, the influenza vaccine. The flu vaccine, which is present in Egypt now, is called the tetra vaccine. It has 4 strains of influenza, and this is very important so that if there will be mixed infection, the influenza will be very mild.
At the end of the show, we wanted to ask you if you have a special message to the AUC community you want to give.
Yes, I think something which is very important to the AUC community and all over the world, and also in our institutes in the higher education in Egypt. In Corona, we will live with the Corona or the COVID-19 so many months and years to come. Even if the vaccine of Corona will be there, we'll still have it. So don't panic. This is very important, but be careful. Be careful to have distancing. It's not social distancing, it is physical distancing. It is 1.5 meters to 2 meters, it's 6 feet long. And wear your masks and wash your hands, but don't panic and live your life. This is very important, especially for students. They must live their lives, but beware and be safe.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashraf Haitem, the University Counselor and the representative of the Egyptian government at AUC. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, our audience, for following up our second episode of AUCTV in the fall season of 2020. Wait for our next episode and have a great week. Thank you and stay safe.